What's going on, everyone? You're joining me on a Sunday afternoon, drinking some of my water that I make, and you'll notice that the water doesn't have a cap because I have cats, and just like chapstick, caps of bottles, important keys for my truck to get to work, all that kinds of stuff just seems to disappear when you have little animals running around. So, what I want to talk to you about today is a concept that I had heard about a while back, and it took a while to really understand what it was, so I'm going to try to condense it down for you. And it's something called the deserve factor. The idea behind the word deserve is that when you deserve something, you therefore righteously should be awarded with it, right? Well, yes, but you're going to have to reframe your mind a little bit on what deserve means, okay? And what I mean by that is that when we think about somebody who deserves to have good breaks in life, and somebody who deserves to be successful and happy and have all the money in the world and all this kind of stuff, you know, you think of, or at least me, I used to think of the women in my life, like my aunt specifically, who gave everybody and anything that she could. She would give you the shirt off her back, and that's quite literal. I think she actually did that one time. Sweetest lady you'll ever meet. She is probably one of the most deserving of people that I know to really have her life together in terms of you know, what she puts out in terms of love to people, right? Well, that's not the type of deserve that I'm talking about. The deserve it factor, when you want to be successful, remember there's different attributes to what makes success. Now you have to put you have to put seeds, okay, into every factor that you want to cultivate in your life. You know, just like a farmer, if you want to cultivate a ton of broccoli, you can't put a ton of carrot seeds in the ground, right? Because you're going to reap the rewards of a ton of carrots. And if you don't want carrots, well, don't place carrot seeds. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that love is not important, but what I'm saying is that love doesn't necessarily bring financial gain, all right? What the deserve it factor entails is for you to get back what you're putting in. So people get angry a lot at their financial situations, and money is a really big motivator of frustration and just general anger. People's patience is very, very short nowadays. If people get burned for a few dollars, you would think that you had run over their dog or something along those lines. And I work in a customer-based environment, and I see people come in sometimes who they're absolutely miserable in their life personally, and sometimes they'll take things out on myself or some of my employees, and I once the person leaves, or I come out and I calm them down, and I have been able to calm everybody down except for one man who was ever in the shop, and he, unfortunately, there was a language barrier, and he didn't understand certain things. But I take all my guys into the back, and I explain to them that what they just experienced has nothing to do with them. It has everything to do with that person's life. So anyways, people get angry because they feel entitled, okay? With very rare exceptions, the type of money that you're going to make in life is a direct reflection of the efforts that you put in to better humanity as a whole. Now, yes, there's complete other circumstances that go on. You can look at the Kardashians, you can look at people peddling drugs and the amount of money that they bring in. You can look at many other areas and stuff that are not necessarily enriching behavior to the human race. But on the whole, Henry Ford bringing vehicles. Okay, Henry Ford is one of the most successful people throughout history. He brought vehicles to the human race. Bill Gates brought all these computers. Steve Jobs brought all these the Apple side of computing. You know, he brought out, and that includes the tablets that you use. Probably whatever you're watching me on came from one of those people. The seeds that they planted in terms of that. Now, it's debatable in terms of the betterment of society. Has technology truly bettered us? Well, in some ways, absolutely. Some ways, no. But the amount of money that these men brought in is in direct correlation to the fact that they supplied such a diverse market structure, okay, and bettered humanity in terms of the technological field. All right, so that is why they made a ton of money. Now, if we come down to the levels at which I can't talk. I put up these videos, and I'm starting to get a whole bunch of text messages from people who actually know who I am, and it's cool. Don't get me wrong, it's really cool, and I hope I can get back to everybody. But where was I? The thing is that on the levels at which I'm familiar with, and the people who I come across and stuff, they're very angered at how much money they're bringing in, that they're struggling with the rent, they're struggling with that and this. You need to look at something, all right? A doctor, okay? The deserve it factor for a doctor is probably pretty high, okay? He put in a ton of schooling, he put in a ton of his own money, or somewhere along the lines money got used, whether it's grants or not. I know of a doctor who has a PhD. Yeah, anyways. I know of a doctor who I grew up with. He put in 12 years of schooling. I never saw him, okay? He gave up his social life. He gave up pretty much all of the fundamental enjoyment activities that most of us indulge very highly in growing up. Even growing up, he would put in 3 to 4 hours of studying after school. I didn't see him. Now, he was an awesome kid too. It was too bad. I really liked the kid, but we never got to hang out. But he is making buku money right now. It's a direct correlation in what he put in. Now, a doctor, if he screws up his job, the medical industry in which that he went into, he's a surgeon, okay? 12 years of schooling, and dedicated the whole way. Always wanted to help people, very philanthropic, if that's a word, philanthropist, whatever. He is responsible for somebody living or dying. Okay, he's sitting there operating on somebody. Now, if he didn't study his stuff right, you're going to die. And what is the price that you would pay to survive something? Right? Now, take somebody who works at Home Depot. Okay? And none of these videos are ever a dig at anybody on what they're doing. All I am saying is that these videos are for people with a specific type of mindset, okay? If you want really nice things in life, if you want to better yourself, if you want to get out of the rat race, there is a specific mindset you need to adopt, okay? So you got the doctor. Well, if you work at Home Depot and you're in the customer service, okay, no one's living or dying based upon your job performance, okay? What you're doing is essentially someone comes in and, you know, they want to cash out. Okay, you beep their items through, have a good day. No problem, give a smile, the whole bit. Great. Beyond that, somebody may need to know where a tool is. Okay, you show them where the tool is. That's phenomenal. But for the betterment of humanity and your total deserve it factor for what you're putting in, you require, I don't know what Home Depot requires in terms of schooling, but I don't believe it's that high. I don't think the bar is set incredibly high, like dedicating 12 years of your life. But those people are angered at their situations, and you'll hear them complain about the taxes, and you'll hear them complain about everything. And I'll tell you, I complain about taxes too. It drives me nuts. But what I do is I look at what the taxes are, and I try to figure out, okay, how can I overcome this? What's the percentage of money that I need to make to sustain my lifestyle and to grow it even higher, while still maintaining within a society that has these taxes, right? It's adaptability, adapting and overcome. I think that's a Marine thing, right? Adapt and overcome. So when I talk about the deserve it factor, you have to examine your life and see what seeds are you putting down. Okay? Now that guy at Home Depot, I ran into a specific fellow. His name is Steve, and he is the kind of guy I would love to hire. Love to hire. But the problem is he knows nothing in the IT field. The industry at which I work, there's very little room for somebody to come in off the street in their 20s or 30s. It's not that it can't happen. But if you know nothing about IT, if you didn't grow up taking things apart and delving into the newest software and ideas coming out, the learning curve is incredible. I would say to catch up to the knowledge at which I personally have in the IT field, you would probably have to dedicate about 3 to 4 years and do nothing else. Okay, I've been doing this now for over 10 years, and I can't say I've done the IT 100% because I do a lot in sales, I do a lot in marketing. I go out, I meet with CEOs and CFOs every so often. I have meetings, I give speeches, I do a lot of the marketing in terms of how to design the websites. So I don't just delve into IT. So I hire people who have a lot of strengths in that, and I try my best to pay them accordingly. And I can't pay them all the money under the sun, but as the company grows, I will definitely take care of the guys who helped me to build it from the beginning, right? Because their deserve it factor is going to be massive, okay? Anybody who helps me to grow, I'm about 3 years into business at the current location that I'm at, and I have a very strong team of guys. In a few years, the way that things are looking and the amount of clientele we have, their deserve it factor for sticking with me when technically they could go and work somewhere else for more, their deserve it factor is huge. So why would I not pay that back? You know what I mean? So anyways, there's also certain professions, and I talk about the schooling industry because you get into being a teacher or something like that, right? And a teacher, technically, their deserve it factor is pretty high, all right? A teacher is there teaching. I forgot to finish about Steve. Basically, this guy super helped me at Home Depot. His deserve it factor is really, really high, but that's just not the place that it's going to be applicable. What Steve should maybe do is open his own hardware store or something along those lines. This guy, the amount of which he went out of his way for me was absolutely incredible. And if you ever get a chance, well, just thank any guy named Steve working at a Home Depot, and maybe you'll hit the right one, because I'm sure he doesn't want me telling the world his last name. But anyways, if you're a teacher, you're responsible for teaching someone's child. How much higher can the deserve it factor get? You may not be responsible directly for life or death, but you're responsible for their life. Are you teaching them critical thinking skills, or are you just teaching them to bubble in a sheet because that's what you're told by No Child Left Behind and all those other bullshit things? But in terms of being a teacher, if you want to be a teacher, why don't you be a homeschool teacher? Why don't you start your own teaching service, right? Print out business cards. We teach kids the skills for, I don't even know, I'm trying to come up with this right now. We teach critical thinking skills that will better your child and his future, or whatever your slogan thing you want to make. I can definitely come up with better if I have more time. But you may have to strike out on your own in the industry that you're in, because if you're at a capped ceiling of what you're going to make, but your deserve it factor is far higher than that ceiling, well, you have to get yourself out there and be the change you want to see. You want to make a lot of money? go better humanity in terms of the teaching field. Teach kids real skills for life. Teach kids how to think for themselves, how to shut off the TV and build something, how to interact socially with people that they're going to meet throughout their lives, you know? These are real skills that a kid should have. If you're a teacher, you can teach that, go and do it. So, in terms of the deserve it factor, for me, when I was growing up, I was 17 years old. I didn't have a lot of money, but I wanted a sound system in my car. I wanted the baddest sound system, baddest ass sound system in my school. And I went and I got a quote from a guy who did the custom installations, custom box, flooring, the whole bit, sound, dyno matting the car, two 12-inch Alphasonics running at 1800 watts RMS. You had an 1800 watt amp. That was an Alphasonic. I had a JL audio amp that was 500 watts by 2 JL audio speakers. The head unit was animatronic. I mean, like, I wanted this awesome sound system. I think at its height it hit 143 decibels. Well, I was quoted a price, $6,500. Now remember, I don't come from a family with money. My parents have never given me a handout. Besides growing me in a safe environment, growing up, I have not had parents that gave me things, and maybe that's one of the reasons I grew. I don't know. If you enable your kids too much, you're gonna kill them for their future. You're killing them. So it was $6,500, and I had $300, and I had gone and done this with a buddy of mine, Jeff. And when we were leaving the store, I was depressed because I was thinking, I was like, how the hell am I going to come up with $6,500? How the fuck can I do this? And something came over me, and I don't quite know what it was, but I was in the parking lot with him at the place, and I looked at him and I said, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. You watch. I'm going to get this done. And I don't remember his reaction entirely. I think it was kind of like, all right, all right. And in my head, I started thinking, how can I make some money? I'm 17 years old. I was working at Walgreens at the time. And I was just like, how can I make some money? And so, I started selling different things that I had. I started trying to do different things. But I was 17. I didn't exactly have what I call assets, You want my Grand Theft Auto Vice City? $5. So, and I'm not for cigarettes and whatever, but growing up I didn't know as much as I did about them, and what I knew was there was a demand for cigarettes in my school, right? And I'm not saying this was right, and yes, it was illegal and whatever the hell, but I started supplying my school with cigarettes, and I would get the cigarettes from Walgreens. I would get the big cartons, I was too young to be buying it, but I found a way to get them. And I would take them by the cartons. I've never smoked in my life. I didn't even know what the hell people wanted to smoke. But I went back and I started talking to kids around school, who wanted cigarettes and wanted whatever. And again, I'm not condoning it, but I saw a need and I supplied that need, right? I was the only kid in my school to be doing this, I'm sure. And what I would do is I would go and talk to the kids who smoked. And I told them, if you want anything, I have it. I'd sell them for $5 a pack, which is a hell of a steal nowadays, right? Anyways, I would sell them for $5 a pack. They sold in the stores for $2.80, I think it was. About the time Marlboro Reds sold for $2.80. So I would talk to them, and I only had Marlboro Reds. That was the most common one that I ever knew about, right? Well, then I got people who were asking for things, so I started to take special orders for cigarettes. And I started to go back to Walgreens, and I would get the different types of cigarettes people wanted. Then people started to want the, whatever they rolled weed with, the cigar rolling, whatever the hell those long things are. Anyways, so I went to go and get those. You can tell how much I know about smoking. So what I eventually did is, in my trunk of my car, I lined my inventory, right? I had Marlboro Reds, I had the whatever the green ones, the menthol ones were, I had the cigars. I don't have time for all this. I rolled the cigars, I had all this different types of stuff. I had the tobacco, I had chewing tobacco, you know, whatever people told me they wanted. I just went and got from Walgreens. You know, I would get my discount, I would get whatever, so it was a little cheaper. And then I would go and... Alright, I'm just going to shut off my phone now. Alright. And I had an inventory in my trunk of my car. At one time, I probably had, I don't know, $600-700 at any given time in the back of my trunk. So it built to the point where I would get orders at lunchtime, and I would just walk out to my car, and I would just open the trunk, stock my pockets, go inside, go make my money. They would give me the money first, actually, and I would go back into school and hand them out. Then it got so big that I had a schedule at which I was going to be hanging out at my car. And these kids would come up, and at the end of the day, you know, they would come up, and every single day I was leaving school with over $100. You know, I mean, that may not sound big now, but $100 a day, that's $500 a week, plus what I was getting at CVS, which was garbage pay, but doesn't matter. Minimum wage was like 7 something at the time. Forgot my place. Yeah, so anyways, weekly, I eventually was making like $800, 17 years old, 10 years ago. All right, that, to me, that was a lot of money back then. So what I'm saying is that regardless of was it right or wrong, my deserve it factor to get that stereo was high. Okay, what I was putting out, the seeds I was putting out were money seeds, right? To grow money. I wasn't putting out love seeds to grow love. Okay, when my aunt is out there being a sweetheart to everybody and all this kind of stuff, well, what she cultivates is love. She's a very loved person. But in terms of finances and such, you know, maybe she's not cultivating the correct crop. You know what I mean? So this is the deserve it factor. I mean, there's other stories about my life and stuff. There was a time I worked 4 jobs at once while building the humble beginnings, like 8 years, maybe 7 years ago. I was a truck driver in the mornings from 7 to 12. From 12 to 6, I was a waiter, and then sometimes I'd work later. I worked at People's Bank on the weekends. I ran an eBay store, built custom computers, custom gaming computers. And then I dabbled in AdSense on like blogging and stuff like that. I mean, financially, the deserve it factor for me in my life has been high. That's why I have some of the opportunities that I have, like to go race in West Virginia. I don't have a sponsor. I just bring my quad down there, and I'm able to go down there and stay for a little bit. You know, I don't have all the money in the world to stay for months, but I go down for a race. I got the equipment to go and do it, you know. Anyways, I'm going to end this video, but basically, before you get mad about your situations and your financial gaining into your life and all that, look at your deserve it factor. And all of this can be applied to other areas of your life. You know, what's your deserve it factor in terms of love? How much love do you give out when you're in a relationship, you know? And of course, you're going to run into people who don't deserve you. Well, that's when you cut them out and you move on, because you're going to find someone who deserves you if you stop wasting your time with the people who don't, right? So the reality is, in terms of the attribute of money, what you're going to make is a direct correlation of the effort that you're putting into real thought on the monetary seeds that you're planting. All right, that's the harvest that you're going to be getting back. So if you're not reaping the harvest you want, you need to take a look at your deserve it factor and what are the seeds that you're sowing. Okay, are you being an asset for your boss? Okay, is your boss even worth being an asset for? If you're working for a guy and you're busting your ass and he doesn't appreciate you and he doesn't talk to you about financial gains in the future, well then you're not going to make financial gains in your current position, right? You need to find a place to work at where you're appreciated. Okay, you need to find a place where you're not only going to be treated like a human, but you're going to be treated as an equally appreciated asset of the company as somebody who's really close to the boss or something. Okay, you just have to think outside the box with this kind of stuff, because if you don't, you're going to stay trapped inside the box and you're going to wonder why. All right, so don't wonder. Do your research, figure out what it is that you want, and go for it.